Tonight, a rosy picture.
Canada is an outsized performer.
Jobs for Canadians jump for a second month in a row, but the politics of it, with an election campaign looming, not so easy.
Action! Many people who work for us will not want to work there.
The politics of abortion hits the U.S. entertainment industry. How communities may feel the impact.
I was very excited when I heard about they were coming here.
And a popular wellness company opens a Canadian storefront, but then Goop got a visit from Health Canada. This is The National. An up and down day for Gwyneth Paltrow's global empire of lifestyle and wellness. It's known as Goop, and today it expanded into Canada with a pop-up store in Toronto. But after CBC News asked some questions, Health Canada pulled some products off Goop's shelves.
I always have one in the morning and then one in my water bottle when I'm working out.
So let's start by explaining a bit about Goop. The actor started it as a newsletter in 2008, but it really took off selling health and beauty products, and it did well for itself, recently valued at $250 million. But Goop has also been called out for some of its claims, like jade eggs that allegedly regulate menstrual cycles, or when Goop said its stickers promote healing using the same special carbon found in NASA spacesuits, except NASA announced there is no carbon in its spacesuits. Now today, Katie Nicholson visited Goop's Canadian outpost to see what they're selling and who's buying.
Gwyneth Paltrow didn't come to the opening of her first Canadian store. She didn't need to.
Let's go, go, go!
Her Goop brand has star power all its own.
I love that they're all about wellness and taking care of yourself.
The fans filed in and filed out with the goods, promising a more fashionable life and better skin.
Oh, it just moves around all of the fluids inside your face.
But Goop enthusiasts weren't the only people who paid the store a visit. In a statement to CBC, Health Canada says its inspectors dropped by and they found 2 sunscreen products not approved for sale in Canada. Goop voluntarily removed them from its shelves. Since 2015, Health Canada has licensed more than 34,000 natural health products for sale. The products are tested to make sure they don't contain any surprises or harmful ingredients. And then they're assigned a natural product number, which appears on the label. Every year, the government rejects roughly 1,900 of these products. And while the rules for storefronts are strict, as Goop learned today, online, it's a different story.
There's a loophole. Canadians can order any unlicensed natural health product online so long as it's for personal use. We were able to order these 2 product lines from goop.com, even though they're not approved for sale in stores in Canada. Transformational foods for a high vibration, holistic lifestyle. What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. A high vibration lifestyle, like, ooh.
Then we have this one.
Dr. Jen Gunter has made a second career fact-checking the health claims of Goop and its natural health products.
I've never seen that.
She says there is a risk when you buy unapproved supplements.
So maybe they contain an antidepressant, or they contain something that could interact with a medication that you're on, and you could have a drug reaction.
Health Canada didn't answer our questions about that online sales loophole.
Protecting Canadians matters, then it should matter for all the potential sources that people could be exposed to these products.
These Goop fans agree.
Definitely regulations on that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Katie, well within the realm of possibility that people could own Goop products that are not approved by Health Canada, right? Could have been bought online or abroad. How do people check one way or the other?
Okay, well, Health Canada maintains a natural product database. And essentially, you just plunk that into your browser, whatever browser you're using, and it allows you to search by product ingredient, by brand name. So if you had some echinacea kicking around in your medicine cabinet and you weren't sure if maybe it's all echinacea or if it's approved by Health Canada, you can just put echinacea as an ingredient in there, boom, and it gives you every single product with echinacea in it that has been approved by Health Canada. So it's a handy tool, and I'm sure that you can have a lot of fun with it this weekend going through your medicine cabinet, Andrew.
Yeah, very good to know, Katie. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, job numbers for this past May are out today, and the news is good. The data from StatsCan helping confirm that the record-setting numbers from April were not a fluke. Canada is on a roll, and unemployment seems to be on the run at its lowest rate in more than 40 years. But numbers are one thing. How the economy feels to Canadians, maybe another. We're going to be exploring both, starting with Jayla Bernstein.
So we want to help you understand what kind of job it is you want.
At this Montreal nonprofit, counselors guide people through the labyrinth of resumes and interviews.
Looking for work is not easy.
Though it could be worse.
Our jobs numbers are sparkling. Honestly, I look around the rest of the world, including the United States, where their jobs numbers just disappointed, and Canada is an outsized performer in terms of the strength of our job markets for quite some time now.
That paints a rosy picture, though the sheer number of options for some is overwhelming.
There's just so many out there, and it's like, it takes so much time. Then I would spend like up to 5 hours per day looking for jobs. And then I'm like, hey, that's enough for today.
The numbers aren't translating into jobs for everyone.
Newcomers is one example. Another example is chronically visible minority communities who unfortunately are dealing with very high unemployment rates.
The latest numbers suggest in May, many opted to be their own bosses. Some 62,000 people who identified as self-employed got jobs last month.
In a country like Canada, the self-employed sector is hugely important. It's a very vibrant part of the economy in terms of creating jobs and creating economic activity. So when we see a number like that, it's a good underpinning to Main Street economic activity in the country.
Staff here say whether you want to work for yourself or someone else, the key is to keep your skills current.
I think the future's bright. I think that you always have to be, lifelong learning now is the new buzzword, right? So even after you graduate, lifelong learning is what you should be doing.
Though he warns against taking today's sunny skies for granted, he says the market can always change. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.
Okay, now we have Vashi Kapellos, host of CBC News' Power and Politics, joining us for more on the significance of this in Ottawa. So Vashi, this will all bode well for Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, in theory, Andrew, Justin Trudeau should be able to tell Canadians as they head to the polls, hey, 1 million more of you are employed now than prior to my election. Except for the problem is a lot of Canadians are feeling like the big numbers aren't matching their own pocketbooks, and they have a lot of insecurity about their own financial future. The Prime Minister is even acknowledging that. Take a listen.
People are worried about their jobs, about their future. And unfortunately, there are many politicians who look for popularity given that anxiety and work to amplify or echo back those fears to people without actually offering solutions.
Okay, so Trudeau wants to play this carefully. What about the opposition?
Well, they kind of have to play it carefully, too. You've seen those ads during the Raptors games where they're sort of drilling down on that idea of economic insecurity, except for the numbers, as we've been talking about, don't back that up. So they're going to have a kind of tough slodge ahead trying to mishmash those messages together for the electorate as we head into the election campaign, too. Andrew?
Okay, Vashi Kapellos, thanks so much. The U.S. has been consumed for days with an economic story of its own. Donald Trump's been threatening to impose tariffs on Mexico unless it strengthens its border security. And Monday was supposed to be the deadline when the hammer would drop. But this evening, there's been a late development. The CBC's Ellen Morrow has been watching the situation in Washington. Ellen, take us through what we know.
Well, Andrew, this is all happening as we speak. We've heard from both the Mexican and the U.S. side. We first heard from about this deal on President Trump's Twitter account, tweeting a short time ago that there has been an agreement reached between the United States and Mexico that those tariffs that were supposed to start at 5% on Monday on all Mexican imports to the United States have been indefinitely suspended after Mexico agreed to take what President Trump described as strong measures to stem the tide of migration through Mexico. And those numbers of people are rising. More than 130,000 people were stopped at the border in May. Now, we are also hearing from the Mexican side. The Mexican ambassador to the United States said that Mexico will provide job opportunities to people awaiting their asylum process applications in Mexico, so they will stay in Mexico. It also says it will strengthen application of its migration laws and that cooperation over development of southern Mexico and Central America will be strengthened. So, as I said, this is happening as we speak. The details are fluid. We actually need to read the agreement that is coming out. But one concrete measure we can tell you is the Mexican foreign minister said that Mexico will allow migrants waiting conclusion of their U.S. asylum process to be sent to Mexico. That is something President Trump wanted, and he confirmed that a plan to deploy 6,000 troops to the southern border will go ahead, the Mexican southern border. So these measures enough for President Trump to suspend the tariffs that were supposed to happen on Monday. And as much as Mexico didn't want these tariffs to go ahead, neither did a lot of Republicans in President Trump's own party, saying it would cost American consumers and businesses too much money. So again, this happening as we speak, Andrew. We'll have more on the full terms of this agreement coming up next hour.
Yeah, developing story, as you say. Ellen Morrow watching things from Washington. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Now, even with this announcement, we do know that Donald Trump does like tariffs as a tactic, even if he sometimes seems to forget who actually has to pay them, American consumers. And while his supporters might argue that people are still better off, even with tariffs, thanks to Trump's huge tax cut in 2017, well, let's take a look at that. Those cuts gave middle-income households an average of $930. 2018 tariffs on Chinese goods cost each household about $831. But now add proposed tariffs on $300 billion worth of Chinese goods, the household bill would grow to about $2,300, which would be more than double that $930 tax cut. Okay, meantime, we are going to turn to the biggest night yet for Raptors fans. Biggest night for now, though, I should say, Ian.
And you know, Andrew, Raptors fans everywhere across the country and even south of the border have been hopeful and probably nervous throughout this day. Let's take a live look at the energy, well, energy sometimes at Jurassic Park near the Raptors' home arena. Fans packed in tight as always. And tonight they're watching the away game on those big screens. And once again this evening, our Greg Ross has an enviable assignment on the road just outside Oakland's Oracle Arena. And Greg, how are the Raps fans that you've been talking to feeling this evening?
You know what, Ian, I witnessed something pretty incredible just outside the arena here this evening. There were so many Canadians that showed up here, and they're organizing. People from across the country who have never met each other before decided to go on WhatsApp and use that social media tool to connect with people, to get together, to organize. In fact, they decided that they would meet here for the first time about an hour and a half before game time, and they showed up in droves to enter the arena together, and it was such a special moment we were able to capture some of it. Let's go Raptors! So you organized this whole WhatsApp group.
We did, we all did, you know what? And look at this. This doesn't feel like a Oracle Arena. This looks like Scotiabank Arena.
From Victoria Island to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan to PEI, from coast to coast, we all feel the same way, and it's a brotherhood. It's a national thing.
Everyone's introducing themselves. Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Nova Scotia, Sudbury, Vegas, everywhere, right? Yeah, it's gotten out of control, but in a good way.
Let's go Raptors! We go North!
You know, it really is true. We talked to fans from every province across the country. Everybody seems to be represented here. There's so much excitement, and I have to tell you, there are a lot more fans in that arena tonight for Game 4 than there were a couple of nights ago for Game 3.
I love that line, out of control in a good way. All right, Greg, we'll check in with you again in about an hour. Well, no matter what happens in these finals, the Warriors are one of the greatest teams in the NBA. They've been champs 3 times in 4 years. Impressive for a team once considered a league also ran. But as Kim Brunhuber explains, the team's local fans are about to pay a steep price for all that recent success.
And when they were done, they read it again.
Golden State Warriors forward Alfonso McKinney is reading to a group of children in an East Oakland community center. Most of the kids live in a rough part of town in one of the most violent cities in the country. A team making a difference in a needy neighborhood. This is the story the Golden State Warriors want to tell about themselves. But there's another story on everyone's minds here in Oakland, and they all know how it ends.
No.
Next year, it's likely these players will be spending time with a different group of kids in the much richer city across the bay. And according to many here in Oakland, that will leave a void in the city's struggling African-American community.
I feel like going to the mall and buy a whole new chain. One time.
Mr. Fab, whose real name is Stanley Cox. At the Warriors games, and he goes to almost all of them, they call him Front Row Fabby. He's basically the Warriors' less famous version of Drake. As the team's fortunes have risen, so too has the cost of living in Oakland. Silicon Valley's gilded shadow is spreading across the bay, making it harder for almost everyone who isn't employed in the tech sector. The fact that the Warriors and the city's NFL team will have relocated to richer cities within a few years of each other, he says, is just making things worse.
Hundreds of people that work won't have a job. Most of those people are African American and Latino American.
Right here, we're in Mosswood Park, right in the middle of Oakland, California, and this is a legendary basketball court.
Liam O'Donoghue hosts a podcast on Oakland history. We're standing on a court which the Warriors helped refurbish. O'Donoghue says the team's move reflects the racial gentrification happening more broadly in the Bay Area. The Warriors are only moving about 16 kilometers away, but O'Donoghue says it might as well be 16,000.
A lot of black folks came out to support the Warriors even when they weren't doing well. And now that tickets are, $300, $400, $500 a pop and up next year, starting at Chase Stadium, I don't think you're going to see that kind of diversity in the stands.
The Warriors promise they won't abandon Oakland, but many here fear once they cross the Bay Bridge, they won't turn back. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Oakland, California.
Now to a troubling story here in Vancouver. It's about Tracy Gunderson, a woman who died alone in her apartment last year, and the questions being raised now by her daughter about the circumstances surrounding her mother's death. Gunderson was bleeding badly due to a medical condition, but first responders didn't get to her in time. Gunderson's daughter wants to know why. Belle Puri picks up our story.
Thinking about her mother's death makes Chelsea Brent furious.
I don't even know if I have a word for it. It blows my mind. It makes me beyond angry.
Last November at her Vancouver apartment, Tracy Gunderson died while frantically begging for help. At 8:15 that morning, she made her last phone call to 911.
BC ambulance for what city, please?
Vancouver, I'm bleeding profusely.
Hang on, what's the address you need help to, ma'am?
An ambulance was dispatched.
Tell me when the paramedics get there,
How
okay?
am I going to get to the buzzer?
Within 5 minutes, paramedics were at the front door of the building.
I can't open the door.
You said it's unlocked, though, is that right?
Yeah, but the buzzer.
You can't get to the buzzer. Okay. Okay, just stay on the line with me here. We're going to figure out a way in, okay?
Oh my God.
The call was deemed non-life-threatening. That means an ambulance was dispatched, not fire. BC's year-old emergency dispatch system sends ambulance and fire only to what are deemed the most critical calls.
But it's only fire that has access to the lockbox that lets you into multi-unit buildings.
So what we don't want is two resources tied up on one incident where they're going to arrive approximately the same time.
The new policy has reportedly led to a 30% drop in medical calls to the fire department.
One of the main tenets of emergency response is to send as many resources as you can within reason to an incident and then scale it back as needed.
35 minutes after the 911 call, paramedics finally got to Tracy Gunderson. They found her lying by her window, unresponsive, no pulse, and they were unable to resuscitate her.
I don't know if she would have lived 100%. I don't know her health and if she would have made it if fire had been there right away. But what I do know is no person should call for help and not receive it.
The provincial government.
Okay, still ahead on the National. From your TV screens to real-life political protests, our pop panel takes on The Handmaid's Tale.
But first, why Hollywood is threatening to leave Georgia.
I mean, it's like a slap in the face.
Really? Why?
Not just for women, but generally, because we want to work anywhere you want to work. You want to make sure that your rights are intact.
Celine is taking a crash course in English with a private tutor because she wants to record in English.
What language does he speak at home? At home, Mr. Duval speaks French. Speaks.
She's already mastered several key phrases.
Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. Just a moment. Don't be angry. I'm sorry, sir. My manager is not here now. What? La musique pour moi, premièrement, c'est...
To me, music is above all a universal language. People can't spend a day without hearing a note of music. Music puts notes of joy into the hearts of children,
Le cœur de tous les enfants.
and sometimes it can put notes of sadness into the hearts of lovers.
14 kids in your family, right? I have 4 children. I thought I was going to go nuts. Maybe I will yet. But 14.
14.
Everybody sings in the family, right?
Another television appearance for 15-year-old Celine Dion, this time in her home city of Montreal.
That's correct. Camera 3, Peter, if you can help me too, Jasmin is going to be on the left of
A young lady who is about to have a million seller in Europe, and I'm sure that you will appreciate her talent. First time on our show, she's a protege of Michel Jasmin. Her name is Céline Dion. Welcome, Céline. Bienvenue. Nice to see you.
Celine's been singing professionally for just under 2 years, but she's already made it big in Quebec and France.
My dream is to be international star.
Offstage, Céline Dion is not unlike most 15-year-old Quebecers. Here she struggles with her very first English interview.
And to be able to sing all my life.
The Dion family, it's musical and it's big. Céline is the youngest of 14 children. She's sung practically since she could talk. At 12, she became professional. At 14, she won the World Song Contest in Japan. At 15, she's won a gold record in France, the first Canadian ever to do it. Now she's at the top of the European song charts. And in Montreal, in the streets, or here at a baseball game, she's a celebrity.
As the head of Disney, Bob Iger may have the spending clout to make Georgia think twice about its looming anti-abortion law. When it takes effect in January, it will make the procedure illegal once a fetal heartbeat is detected, as early as 6 weeks.
Well, I think if it becomes law, it'll be very difficult to produce there. I rather doubt we will. Many people who work for us will not want to work there, and we'll have to heed their wishes.
Other production giants have openly considered a boycott. In just 1 year, they can inject more than $9 billion into the state economy. Eli Glasner went to Georgia and found the start of a production chill, but some people working in the industry want to stay and fight.
So they shot Baby Driver around here?
They did, actually right up the street here.
We met location manager Kalina Bowler just outside of Atlanta. Baby Driver is just one of the many movies and TV shows filmed in the state. You want bigger? Avengers and Watchmen have been fighting for studio space. So, things doing great?
Yeah.
Industry chugging along?
Yeah.
Then this heartbeat bill comes in.
I mean, it's like a slap in the face.
Really? Why?
Not just for women, but generally, because we want to work anywhere you want to work. You want to make sure that your rights are intact.
We are called to be strong and courageous.
When Governor Brian Kemp signed the bill banning abortions after 6 weeks, Hollywood pushed back. Many major studios and networks said they may leave if the bill becomes law in January.
If your A-listers and your above-the-line crew members don't want to bring their business to Georgia, us below-the-line crew members, you know, we're kind of left in the lurch a bit. A lot of us don't have that easy mobility.
Callie Moore moved to Georgia from Louisiana when the 30% tax breaks supercharged the industry. But the boycott could force her out, so she's channeling her frustrations into the Stay and Fight Georgia campaign, which has already raised $10,000 to support legal challenges against the bill.
Our crew specifically, as soon as we mentioned trying to do something positive and fight back against the abortion ban and the boycott as well, there was like a sense of relief and positivity.
Drive an hour south of Atlanta and you come to the idyllic town of Sonoy. This is Sonoy, a small Georgian town, better known to fans of The Walking Dead as the background to much of the series. In fact, the population here in Sonoy has doubled since the zombie show got started. But now that the network behind the show, AMC, is saying they will reevaluate activity in the state if the abortion bill goes ahead, well, Sonoy's future could be uncertain.
Y'all enjoying yourself here in Woodbury?
This tour guide, dressed as a Walking Dead character, says they owe the show a lot.
Before The Walking Dead came here, we only had 5 businesses on Main Street. Today,
Really?
we have over 51 businesses, and we have more growing all the time.
Down the street, jewelry store owner Jan Hipp is worried, but thinks Hollywood should butt out.
Well, of course it wouldn't be a good thing for us. I mean, we could use the business, but on the other hand, why does an industry like that think they can come and tell us what our laws should be in Georgia?
Well, the law doesn't go into effect until January. This Atlanta film industry journalist says the damage is already done.
Even if this bill doesn't come into effect and if the courts block it, I think a lot of producers say Georgia is off the table or just not going to even consider it.
Action! Until then, the TV and film industry is a little like The Walking Dead, trying to survive as the battle between the bill and boycott shuffles forward. Eli Glasper, CBC News, Atlanta, Georgia.
And just ahead on The National, our Friday Pop panel looks at The Handmaid's Tale and whether the protests it spurred might run out of steam.
And later in our moment, a Canadian soldier finally laid properly to rest 75 years after his death.
It's just amazing to be able to honor him and honor all the other men and women that are here and have served for our country.
It is late Tuesday afternoon in the press room of the Woodstock Bugle. Another edition is coming off the press. Within hours, it'll be in the mails and on newsstands in Carleton County and beyond. And readers will learn of beauty queens and cattle rustling. Journalism's oldest and its most durable form of grassroots contact will have been renewed. The Bugle is one of 20 weeklies in New Brunswick, and like weeklies everywhere, these papers are currently in their heyday. The reason is technological change, a combination of computerized typesetting and photo offset printing has turned most weeklies into sound business propositions. The change is felt everywhere. In northern New Brunswick, David Cadogan owns and publishes papers for Newcastle, Chatham, and Dalhousie.
For less than $25,000 now, a weekly newspaper can have typesetting equipment that will do as good a job as anything anywhere in the world.
Does that tend to explain why you see nowadays a lot of new weekly newspapers starting up?
Yes.
It's just easier for people to get into the business?
With the electronic typesetting equipment and centralized web offset printing plants, a person can get into business pretty cheaply.
Computerized typesetting is a far cry from the old clanking linotype machines which used to churn out hot lead type. Now the output from this electronic assistant is so-called cold type. That is, type neatly imprinted on paper in column-sized widths. These paper strips are then mounted on makeup sheets for the actual newspaper page. The completed page is photographed, and the resulting negative used to prepare a metal plate which is clamped on the press to print the paper. This technology has been around for a while, but it's only lately that the weekly press has felt its full impact. David Henley publishes the Woodstock Bugle and the Victoria County Record in Perth Andover.
The circulation of the town here is only 5,200, but our circulation is over 7,000. So we get out into the community, into the highways and byways where daily papers don't reach very effectively.
Not since the 1800s has there been such a burgeoning of weekly papers in New Brunswick. Things are so new around the weeklies that some of them don't even like to be called weeklies anymore, preferring the term community newspapers. The new economic strength has allowed the weeklies to spend more on editorial content. Sometimes their beat becomes the world, and the best of the papers take their responsibilities very seriously.
I'm often criticized for being negative. I think that reporters should err on the side of being negative, because let's face it, most people are inclined to tell the rest of the world and anyone who's interested how good they are. So since it's our job, perhaps to strike a balance.
If you want to feel the fabric of the individual areas of New Brunswick, your best vehicle to do that in is the local weekly paper.
Good moments come when you see that paper come off the press, and when you see that paper being read by the people in your town and discussing the news that's in it. Those are the things that build your confidence in what you're doing.
So now, at the Woodstock Bugle, Another of those good moments has arrived. The paper is rolling off the press. The women who put the various sections together are on the job. And for readers in the middle St. John River Valley, journalism's most personal contact is about to be renewed. David Folster in Woodstock for New Brunswick Report.
Blessed be the fruit.
The Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood's classic dystopian novel turned hit TV series, is back for its third season this week, and it's also made its return to real-life protests, like the one in London against US President Donald Trump's state visit.
Margaret Atwood's novel is a complete classic, but I think the TV show is really just a TV show. You know, it's an escapist fantasy like any show.
The cultural impact of The Handmaid's Tale, I think, is its uncanny ability to mirror reality. Across the United States, reproductive rights are facing extraordinary challenges. Let's just say it all makes me do that kind of uncomfortable laugh that sounds a little bit like crying. I'm Katie Underwood, freelance writer and editor.
I'm Stephen Marsh, random Toronto writer.
I'm Stacey Lee Kong, freelance writer and editor. The TV show launched soon after the Trump presidency began, and it quickly became a way for people to make jabs at his administration, like this one at his press secretary.
I have to say I'm a little starstruck. I love you as Aunt Lydia in The Handmaid's Tale.
It has turned out that pop culture resistance through television shows, isn't really resistance at all. It's radically ineffective as resistance, actually.
The gift of The Handmaid's Tale is that it's entertainment that doubles as a form of accountability. If you're into a show that depicts the systematic disenfranchisement of women, maybe you'll start realizing it when it happens in real life, and maybe you'll even do something about it.
Okay, if you've seen neither the series nor read the book, here's a taste of season 1.
I was asleep before. That's how we let it happen. When they slaughtered Congress, we didn't wake up. When they blamed terrorists and suspended the Constitution, we didn't wake up then either. Now I'm awake. My name is Offred. I had another name.
Ladies, I have to let you go. It's the law now.
They needed to do it this way. All the bank accounts and the jobs all at the same time. Can you imagine the airports otherwise?
Okay, so that imagery, we saw it in Trafalgar Square a few days ago, same thing during Trump's visit to the UK the year before, even at Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court confirmation hearing, at protests all over the United States, around the world. There's even a Handmaid's Coalition, complete with a guidebook on how to make your own crimson cloak and white bonnet. Katie, what is it about that costume and the idea behind it that we see it again and again and again?
Well, I think, every social movement needs some kind of iconography, and I think the timing and the actual visual of this is such a statement. So whether it's the bonnet that kind of obscures the faces of the women, which kind of connotes a facelessness and anonymity where women can be interchangeable in Gilead, which is a society that has essentially been sterilized and subjugated women for literally forced labor. So there's that aspect, but then there's the pop of red, which kind of, to me at least, signifies a spark against this very sterile landscape. And the red, obviously it makes you think of blood, it makes you think of, disorder in some way.
And Stephen, I mean, it is kind of, Atwood's disturbing dystopia brought alive.
This is a television show with a great look. And when we talk about its political effects, I think we should remember that that's what it is, and that's what it's always going to be. It's just a television show with a great look.
Right, but is there power behind the look, right?
No,
I mean,
there isn't. There's power behind the look, but it doesn't actually change anything in power. I mean, we're coming through a period where, if you were to ask me, like, what has The Handmaid's Tale done to change gender roles in society, there is nothing that you can say it has changed.
Okay, but is that setting the bar a little high, right? I mean, the costume in a protest, I suspect that the main objective is just to articulate rejection, defiance, and if it does that, doesn't it accomplish the goal?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a huge assumption among our pop culture commentators and our political commentators too, I think, that pop culture politics is actually having this big effect on the world. And the truth is that what we've seen over 3 years, and before then, even from the Obama years, is that we're in this middle of this great pop culture revolution in terms of progressive politics, and at the same time we're dealing with a period where women's rights are being pulled back in a way that we haven't really seen since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Really.
Stacey, what do you think
I
of Stephen?
disagree completely.
Okay. then chime in,
just
please.
don't agree. So I think that it's kind of an interesting position to take, that to say that a TV show or pop culture doesn't have any sort of political influence, because we have seen so many examples of when it has. Protest songs are a great example of how pop culture and politics intersect. I take what you mean that, okay, no, I can't trace a direct line between the handmaids in their costumes and some kind of actual understanding of gender roles that like change legislation. Yeah, legislation.
Yeah.
But I think opinions are a big part of that, and I think shaping messages is a big part of that.
But opinions are going the other way too.
Is the costume, so clearly you think the costume is effective, at least as a tool in the toolbox of
I think it's as effective as a tool. I think it has made an impact. I don't think it's like this perfect solution, but I do think it seems, to me it seems weird to act as if a TV show is unserious and doesn't apply to serious things.
Is the costume as effective today as it was, say, 2 years ago?
That I don't think.
No.
I feel like, and there's a couple of reasons for this, but I feel like early on it felt really clever, right? It felt like this is a really perfect encapsulation of how we feel the world is going to go. Now that the world has gone that way, it doesn't feel as clever.
Margaret Atwood, so in an interview, this was interesting, she said about the story, none of it's made up. People have done these things, and what people have done once, they are quite capable of doing again. So Katie, you know, we see quite clearly the success of the show spin off into real life, right? In the form of these costumes at these protests. I wonder, to what extent is credit owed the other way? In the sense that the show is only successful because of the time that we live in, this sort of tumultuous political time.
Well, I think it's kind of hard to tease those two things apart, because the show launched, 6 months or so after Donald Trump got into office. So obviously they'd been filming that for a long time. I don't think they had a lot of lead time and, could see or foresee what would eventually happen.
Which is an important point, right? Like the
Exactly.
series was greenlit long before Donald Trump was
Yeah.
even considered a viable contender.
Yeah,
No, but it was greenlit in the middle of progressive
Yeah.
politics
Yeah.
taking over pop culture,
He
which
was-
happened well before Trump.
Yeah, I will say that I think the thing to note is that Margaret Atwood wrote this in 1985, and the fact that these events have been true throughout history and are still true kind of bears out the fact that she has an incredible ability as someone in pop culture to not only foresee possibly what's going to happen, or maybe just like talk about what's happened before and warn us against what's happening again. I don't want to call it a happy coincidence, because it's certainly not a happy show, but I do think there's credence to the fact that it's become popularized and become what it is in this moment.
Yeah, the timing's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, is the timing good, though, in terms of what it wants its goals to be? I mean, I think the thing that's so amazing about this particular adaptation is it really shows the difference between what a novel can do and what television can do. Because, Atwood's novel is this real masterpiece about the power of private language. I mean, that's ultimately what it's about. It's this diary of this woman whose form of resistance is really this personal insistence on her own meaning. And when you translate that into television, like what television is just mass consumption. And ultimately, it doesn't have the same power. It doesn't have the same power to change people. It doesn't have the same power to change ideas, because, ultimately it is spectacle. And the rules of spectacle, as we've seen through this entire period of woke spectacle, that has coincided with the greatest pullback of progressive political action in our lifetime.
Katie, you want to?
Yeah, I would disagree, because I think that those two things are discrete. The fact that they're rolling back rights and that a TV show is progressive, they're not related to each other. But the idea of progression in society is inherently rooted in mass meaning. So I think you actually do have the most potential to create change in something like a television show.
I think this is actually a huge error that we've seen disproved now. Like, this has been the assumption for many years, that we're going to teach people through television, we're going to teach them through pop culture, through music. But actually what's happened is, like, they've gotten the laws. Like, right now in Georgia, women are on the brink of being able to lose the right to have an abortion. Hollywood is saying we're going to pull out of Georgia. It makes no difference. It's made no difference at all. I mean, I really think it's time for progressive people to wake up and realize that, like, this thing that we've said, which is like pop culture is going to change the world, like, no, it's not. It's doing the opposite.
This is kind of an interesting point, and I want to hear what you two think about this idea that is there or isn't there kind of like an ongoing relationship between the series as we see it and some narrow slice of the real life protest. Does the success of one hinge now on the success of the other?
I don't know that it does, because I think a lot of progressives that I've sort of read their pieces or talked to haven't necessarily stuck with the show. I think whether the show is successful or whether the show goes for 1 more season or 10 more seasons, I don't know that the success of the movement hinges on that. It's the same as, remember V is for Vendetta, and all of a sudden everyone was wearing those Guy Fawkes masks, and then Anonymous co-opted them. Well, okay, so this is where I hate to say this, Stephen, but I do get what you're saying, is that it's not that you can say there's a direct line between, look, here's an effective costume, and here is successful legislation. But I think there's a value in this type of language and giving people language, right? And letting people who maybe haven't thought about these things a whole lot, giving them a framework so they can understand.
To what end? They wore this costume to Brett Kavanaugh's hearing. Brett Kavanaugh's going to be in power for the rest of his life, and the costumes are going to be forgotten in 6 months.
But
this is how we are losing. This is how we are losing, because we've made pop culture this battlefield for virtue and for political progress, and it just isn't so.
It's not the only thing. It can't be the only thing.
And Katie, you want to jump in here?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you can't excise one from society. We're stuck with both, and I think they both have different roles. Pop culture, like Stacey was saying, is very much a language. It speaks to what's going on, and it also provides a language for people to speak back to what's going on. So it may not be that the people in the bonnets are the ones making the laws, but they're providing a vernacular for people who are watching the people make the laws to maybe discuss issues that they're not typically involved in.
Guys, we're gonna have to put a stop to it there. I think we could have gone a lot longer, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still ahead on The National, navigating business with Russia. Could the fear be receding? Some Canadian businesses seem to think so.
We've seen our membership actually grow over the last 2 years because companies know that in this climate, they can still make money.
But first, this Sunday on The National, a conversation with whistleblower Edward Snowden about privacy and the impact of his actions. Here's a preview.
Considering how precious privacy is, at what point do you ask yourself if what you did was worth it or made a difference?
Well, I think the thing here is it's led to legal reforms in the United States, in Canada, basically every country in Europe. We have the entire way the internet does business, which is surveillance capitalism, coming under pressure and beginning to change. Everyone, even actually, ironically, officials in the National Security Agency that condemned me, have said this was a good thing. This was something they themselves should have admitted years prior, and then it wouldn't have been a scandal because they would have had clean hands.
The Rat Pack is having T-shirts made. They'll sell them to make money for the Liberal Party. John Nunziata is the Liberal they call the King Rat. He finds fun in a lot of this, but he knows he's called many other things. And all things considered, it's not so funny. Other MPs say he's sleazy, slimy, and a snake. No one minces words when it comes to Nunziata. But then again, Nunziata doesn't either.
Sleazy, slimy, Tory patronage.
And when it comes to expressing his distaste for Brian Mulroney, he gets personal.
He's a man that continually talks about being honest and forthright and talks about his ministers having unimpeachable integrity and honesty, and he's so bloody self-righteous, it's sickening.
There's an unwritten code of ethics among MPs. That code said when New Brunswick Premier Richard Hatfield was acquitted on marijuana possession charges, the whole affair should have been forgotten. Most Liberals thought it should be forgotten, but not John Nunziata.
On what date did the Prime Minister first become aware that marijuana was found in Premier Hatfield's luggage?
After Elmer MacKay, the Solicitor General, admitted he met with Hatfield before his trial to discuss things, the government had a problem. Nunziata and his colleagues in the Rat Pack had credibility. Brian Tobin is from Newfoundland. He was there when the Liberals were the government. He's caught on to life in the opposition in the Rat Pack. He was there to defend Nunziata in the Hatfield affair.
Maybe Nunziata showed some courage and some conviction, and maybe to some extent he took a chance, but he was right.
Sheila Copps is a new MP from Hamilton who is also making a name for herself as a rat.
Un'altra cosa,
Quebec abbiamo perso, tutto liberato Quebec.
Sì, ma adesso in Quebec il Partito Liberale va avanti.
She picked up excellent Italian on the streets of Hamilton to go with her perfect French. But she needles Mulrooney in plain English.
My question to the Prime Minister, the Minister for Johnny Carson of the Canadian House. 2/3 of Canadians, Mr. Prime Minister.
Don Boudria, another rat packer, has the simplest of constituency offices. There's nothing on the walls except free posters he gets from the government. He also has the simplest of American-made cars, but nothing is as simple as his beginnings on Parliament Hill. He began as a busboy in the parliamentary restaurant. He's the first Commons blue-collar worker in history to become an MP. He really bugs the Prime Minister about all those little things that become big things in the minds of the people.
A jacuzzi, a hot tub, a satellite dish at Harrington Lake, and all those other issues that I raised.
You asked all those questions about jacuzzis?
Oh, yes.
On his office door, he keeps a tab on Tory patronage. That's his favorite target.
You know, there's been 1,200 political appointments. That's one appointment every 3 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week since last September 17th. Not bad for a group of people who said that they wouldn't appoint anyone by patronage.
And sometimes the Rat Pack goes to extremes to make a point.
All right, it's a waste of time, a joke.
Some of the antics and tactics of the Rat Pack anger people, including some Liberals. But there's no denying the Rat Pack has emerged as the feisty core of the Liberal benches, at the expense of some senior people in the party. They set out to make names for themselves. They've done that.
Here are some other stories we're following tonight. Venezuela has hit a grim milestone. More than 4 million people have fled the South American nation amid its deepening humanitarian crisis. UN officials say about half of that total has sought shelter in Colombia and Peru, but a significant number has continued north to the Caribbean, Mexico, and the United States. The rate is believed to have increased in recent months as U.S. sanctions hobble Venezuela's economy. Meanwhile, Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland met with her Cuban counterpart today and stressed that the island nation has a role to play in Venezuela's return to democracy.
I believe we are seeing an international convergence around the need for a peaceful transition in Venezuela.
The U.S. accuses Cuba of propping up the regime of Nicolas Maduro. That puts Havana at odds with most Western countries, including Canada, which support opposition leader Juan Guaido. Theresa May has formally resigned as leader of UK's ruling Conservative Party. She'll stay on as Prime Minister until a replacement is found. So far, 11 Conservative candidates are set to enter the race, which officially begins Monday. The new Prime Minister will be announced the week of July 22nd. And Russia and the United States blaming each other after 2 warships nearly collided in the Pacific. Reports say they came somewhere between 50 and 15 meters of each other, both sides saying their ship had to make emergency maneuvers to avoid the collision. The U.S. says it will lodge a formal diplomatic complaint. Russia likes to do things big, and the economic summit this week in St. Petersburg, no exception. It is a huge event with business leaders from around the world, including some from Canada. The Kremlin is trying to signal that Western sanctions have had little effect, that Russia is open for investment. But as Chris Brown reports, there are reasons to be hesitant.
Crippling Western economic sanctions haven't stopped the Putin government from putting on a glitzy business spectacle this week in St. Petersburg, featuring an important guest of honor. Chinese leader Xi Jinping toured Vladimir Putin's hometown by boat, and notably, unlike the United States, Russia welcomed telecom giant Huawei as its partner. The United States extends their laws across the whole world, complained Putin, taking a shot at the sanctions against his country and also the U.S. tariffs against his guest as well. Russia has turned to China to make up for lost Western investment. But despite a big Chinese presence here, the reality is Chinese investment in Russia has so far been tepid.
They weren't always friends.
Canadian Lou Nomovsky has been investing and advising in Russia since the Gorbachev era.
I think it's a mutual kind of respect, but hesitation and special care about not going too deeply, too quickly.
Putin's pitch is for foreigners to join in on an enormous $400 billion stimulus program to help address falling Russian incomes and growing public frustration with the economy. Canadian businesses are, of course, invited to invest in Russia too, and there are about a dozen or so here, though they're pretty sensitive about it. Paul Rowlandson, the CEO of Vancouver-based Kinross Gold, spoke on a panel about his company's 2 Russian mines, but he didn't want to talk to us. Still, the head of the local Canadian Business Association said hopefully the fear factor of doing business in Russia is receding.
We've seen our membership actually grow over the last 2 years because companies know that in this climate, they can still make money.
Perhaps, but the story of American Michael Calvi undercuts that positive message. The most successful Western investor in Russia, Calvi was thrown in jail in February and now awaits trial on questionable fraud charges. His treatment has spooked many here and severely undermined Putin's claim that Russia is a safe place to invest. Chris Brown, CBC News, St. Petersburg.
And up next, honoring a Canadian soldier 75 years after his death. How one family finally got the closure they needed today.
My mom grew up not knowing who her dad was. It was always a touchy subject with her. So when we pulled in this morning, a lot of thoughts about my mom.
Sergeant John Albert Collis's story is next in our moment. But first,
the International Space Station is open for commercial business.
in case you missed it, NASA is inviting space tourists to go way up, all the way to the International Space Station.
For private astronauts to visit the space station on U.S. vehicles, and for companies to engage in commercial profit-making activities on the station.
Sounds futuristic, but NASA is actually late to this game.
Personally, I've had the time of my life.
Russia's been making money off space travel for years, hosting tourists.
Молоко в космос? Но ты загнул.
And even in 1998, using one of its astronauts in an Israeli ad for milk. NASA is planning to host 2 tourists next year for up to a month each.
If you look at the pricing and you add it up back of the napkin, it would be roughly about $35,000 a night.
Ignition, liftoff.
And while the stay will be pricey, consider the airfare. They'll be riding on private launch vehicles like SpaceX's Dragon capsule at an expected cost of about $50 million a seat. And truth is, this is not the safest vacation. That Dragon capsule just blew up in testing in April. Its failure rate is 1 in 20 launches. But if you're extremely wealthy, have a passion for space, and maybe a mild death wish, NASA is now ready for you.
It was the most dramatic convention in the history of the Conservative Party. It was a delegates' convention. 5,000 Tories filled the Ottawa Civic Centre, their object to elect a winner. Would it be Brian Mulrooney, the Montreal lawyer with the Robert Redford image, a man who hadn't been elected to anything before? Would it be Claude Wagner, who wanted to be the first French Canadian to lead the party, or another former Liberal, Paul Hellyer? Would it be Flora MacDonald, the populist candidate, the first serious female contender for the leadership? Or would it be Joe Clark, a bilingual Westerner, the dark horse candidate? The convention opened with a tribute to the chief, John Diefenbaker. Now in his 81st year, he's still a spellbinder. He electrified the crowd with a blistering attack on the Trudeau government.
What are we here for? As I see it, we're here to bring about freedom in Canada once more. freedom, Parliament must be restored. I have never seen anything like it. Why, when Mr. Stanfield, who isn't a very provocative person in his questioning, asked a question of the Prime Minister, his reply was, "What is your GD question anyhow?" And he didn't put it in capitals.
Saturday, a major turning point in the convention when Paul Hellyer stunned some delegates with an attack on the so-called Red Tories.
When I left that party, I didn't immediately cross the floor, and I'm going to tell you why today. Because I watched the so-called Red Tories in the House, and I noticed that often their policies were very similar to those where Pierre Trudeau was going or where the NDP had already been.
Yesterday, balloting began. When the first vote ended, Heward Grafty and Jim Gillies withdrew their support and threw it to Joe Clark. But the most dramatic convert to the Clark camp was Sinclair Stevens.
I like Joe's style. I think he's come on very, very well. I like the fact he's a relatively young man. I think we can win with him.
When the second ballot was counted, more exchanges took place. Flora MacDonald, disappointed at her lack of support, did what everyone thought she would do, cross the floor to meet Joe Clark. The Clark bandwagon was rolling. But so was Claude Wagner's. John Diefenbaker bestowed his blessing. An emotional Jack Horner, who at one point became involved in a scuffle with reporters, also threw his support to Claude Wagner. A dejected Paul Hellyer also moved to the Wagner camp. The battle lines were drawn. Brian Mulrooney could have been the kingmaker. He chose not to be. He endorsed neither Clark nor Wagner and allowed his delegates their free choice.
The result of
The fourth and final ballot.
In alphabetical order, Mr. Clark.
1,187 votes. Monsieur Clark, 1,187 votes. Monsieur Claude Wagner.
Mr. Claude Wagner.
122 votes. 1,122 votes.
Delighted at the victory. Claude fought a vigorous, effective campaign. I'm just delighted at the outcome. I'm sure and I know we can work together well.
Gem.
This podcast is about
the checkered past of the Hudson's Bay blanket.
I fall in love with everyone I meet.
The scene of the crime is always significant.
You can take your blindfold off, take off all your clothes, and wait here.
How could you do something like that and live amongst people normally?
I just want to be a normal dude.
Yeah, mediocre would be phenomenal.
It's been 30 years, but I can see it in my mind's eye.
There's still so much we don't know.
Canada's public podcaster.
Nearly 75 years after his death, Sergeant John Albert Collis has been laid to rest. He was a Canadian soldier who died a few weeks into the Battle of Normandy during the Second World War. But it was only 2 years ago that his remains were discovered and identified using DNA analysis and dental records. Then, in April, the family got a phone call. His remains would be put to rest in the Canadian War Cemetery in France. That happened today, and it's our moment.
It's just amazing to be able to honor him and honor all the other men and women that are here and have served for our country.
We thought this was the best thing ever. Like it's truly an amazing experience. My mom grew up not knowing who her dad was. It was always a touchy subject with her. So when we pulled in this morning, a lot of thoughts about my mom went through my mind, and the fact that I could actually be here to honor her is really special to us.
It just really shows how proud our country is and how proud they are of these veterans, that they were willing to go through this entire process all these years later.
Such a young age.
For sure, for sure.
To give up their tomorrows for our todays is a real honorable thing that every soldier or men and women have done for us, and in particular, my grandfather.
And Ian, just think how all of this would have started. What was unearthed were skeletal remains and a ring with Sergeant Collis's initials on them, and so would begin a 75-year journey that I'm betting took a fair bit of care, dedication, and maybe a little bit of luck, too.
And you know, Andrew, a couple of other things strike me. First of all, you hear about these kinds of ceremonies and you wonder what kind of impact it has on the family, and even a couple of generations later we heard it really does matter to them. Also, watching the video of that cemetery, I've been there, lots of Canadians have. It is so moving to see all those headstones and think of all those stories, and here's one more. He was 28 years old when he died, and of course his daughter growing up without ever really knowing him. That is the National for June the 7th. Good night.
Good night.